On September 9th, CNN reported that the US extracted a Russian spy in 2017. The article claimed that they decided to remove him because they were concerned President Trump and people in his administration mishandled classified intelligence, which compromised the source's safety. Secretary of State Mike Pompeo said that was factually wrong. What's your take on this?
Of course, I need to be relatively cautious on discussing such things, but in essence, I can say this. This is, in my opinion, another case of where uh, yeah, like I said, I don't particularly care for the term, but where the deep state is reacting. Basically, you have a large cadre of people that are looking for the president to do anything that gives them a pretext to criticize him. And I believe this is one of those things because this person had the problems he had after Trump became president. They're able to point the finger at Trump and say it was him. It was something he did. You know, he's leaking information and gave the Russians this or that or the other. The problem with that theory is that this individual was being discussed back in 2014 publicly and 2015 publicly before Trump became president. So again, I think it's ludicrous to suggest that this is somehow all the president's fault or he did it or whatever. It's just, it makes no sense in the scheme of things. This was clearly something that is easily verified by Googling back. You can see that the conversation was going on back in the Obama days. So how whatever Obama does suddenly becomes Trump's fault is just, you know, a magical process that no rational human being can understand as they go through. But it's, as I said, they don't care about facts. What they're looking for is a pretext, and the pretext is only concerned with criticizing the president of the United States. So it doesn't matter. Anything that they can possibly criticize, they will use to criticize. And if it's just give a little sliver of the information, it's what they do. It's their methodology. We just saw this once again with the New York Times that was reporting on these attacks on Kavanaugh, Supreme Court Justice Kavanaugh, where they're saying, oh, you know, the report came out that has been circulating for a year and nobody reported it. And they came out and said, oh, well, he sexually assaulted this girl, that, you know, he took out his business and put it in this girl's hand and all this stuff at this party and blah, blah, blah. And it's some guy who's reporting it. But the so-called victim in the case has stated all along that it didn't happen, that she knows nothing about it. So they cut that part out of the story. Why? Because it's that little sliver that they can use to try to criticize, and so they forget all the other facts. In the old days, that used to be called a lie of omission. You're manipulating the information to lie to the people by only telling them a small portion of the truth. Lie of omission isn't a phrase that I hear used very often anymore, so it's, I guess, a bit old-fashioned. But that's the type of reporting that you see out of the mainstream media. They don't report the fact that this Russian individual was being discussed in the press in a public fashion before Trump became president. The only part they report is that he got in trouble while Trump was president. So it's the same tactic used, and for those of us who are unfortunately bound by truth, it's a difficult argument to face when they just make up facts. I mean, how do you defend against just lies? And so the only thing we can do is just push out the truth and hope for the best. I think most Americans recognize when they're hearing the truth most of the time. I mean, we can all be lied to, but we can't all be lied to all the time. And that's kind of what we found ourselves in. So I think most people recognize that. And I think, in fact, that's part of the reason why we see President Trump as President Trump, why he was elected. And I think if you did a poll nationwide of every individual that ever watches the news and say, who provides more accurate news or information, the president or the mainstream media, they're all going to go president. He's more reliable than they are. So that's where we find ourselves once again.